The Kenworth T280, a great truck, a tough act to follow. This is the successor, the Kenworth T280. How does it do? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this video series. First up, we're going to talk about the cab and chassis. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, I am Josh from Premier Truck Sales and Rental. Thank you for tuning back in this week. This is the start of a new series that I am super excited about. For a lot of years, the T270 was roughly the same truck. This, fresh slate, completely new cab, everything. I am really looking forward to diving into this with you, and let's just go ahead and do like we always do though. Let's start up at the front. Now, the prior generation, the T270, that used the 1.9 meter cab. This is the 2.1 meter cab. This is the similar cab to what you find on a T680 or a T880. That being said, the hood obviously needed to change to adapt to that, and they've done a lot of great stuff in this to capitalize on that chance of change. One of the things that they haven't changed, one of the things you guys have heard me say for years, you've got an all metal grille panel here. There is no point in going with cheap plastic at risk of your condenser, at risk of your intercooler, at risk of your radiator. This is metal. This is actual protection. Something else up top here, they've actually designed this handle really well. So when you're got to do your pre-trip and open the hood here, it's a nice comfortable grip, and the hood is super easy to open. Down here, we've got a couple of tow hooks that you don't need to ever slide in. They're built in there. Hook on and get you out of whatever jam you've got. Now, this front bumper is an in-mold colored bumper. It's very, very durable. Stuff is going to bounce off of it, unlike what you had issues with before, where it would dent, ding, and otherwise start to look a little gnarly. This is going to look good for years to come. Something else is we now have a brand new halogen headlight design with a composite reflector setup in it. That way it is, as I've said before, it's focused on getting the light down the road in the areas where you need it and not in other driver's eyes. Up here, a highly visible, easy to see turn signal that's very, very bright during the day. Now, the other thing that you notice here too is the way this hood is set up is there's a seam here. There's the same seam on the other side. Like the T680 and T880, this is a hood that is set up in separate pieces in order to make easy repair, easy fixes, and much more solid manufacturing with that. From there, as I come over one step further, you'll notice the air intake here. Now, this is what allows air to go on to the filter, which is under the hood right on top of the engine in this. What's great about this is there's actually a pre-cleaner setup in this. That helps get rid of any dust, dirt, grime, or anything like that that you may be picking up out on the road, on a site, wherever. These trucks are not always going to the cleanest places, hence the tow hooks like I mentioned before. That pre-cleaner helps to save you when it comes to air filter maintenance, and making sure that you're going to get the longevity out of all of this. Let's go a few steps further back now. So as we step back here, the cab itself is something that we're going to talk about in its own episode because there are so many new things with this. So we're going to stick more with the chassis here, and you notice here, these fenders, these help keep stuff from flying up on, everything like that. They attach separately, and on top of that, it is where the new style of latches. These latches are great because they just flip in, flip over, and done. So here we have a 5.5 gallon DEF tank in order to stay within regulations with that. Kenworth typically went with round fuel tanks. In this, they have updated with a D-shaped tank in order to get more capacity out of less frame space. So as I mentioned, this is a 50 gallon aluminum tank. Now these steps, the cool things about these steps that are attached to the tank is the bottom step sticks out further than the top step. It's a great way to make sure that you stare into the cab rather than it being more like a ladder. On top of that, this lower step is very, very wide to make sure that you've got a good base for your feet. As we come back here, this has an aluminum battery box cover with 3 PACCAR Group 31 batteries inside. That way, you're making sure you are never short on electrical power. Now, you don't typically want your truck to sit, but if it needs to, there is a battery disconnect switch right next to the battery box here, which is conveniently located right next to the door. Get out, kill that switch. You can let the truck sit and not have to worry about your batteries. When we flip over to the other side here, of course, we've got these nice solid mounted fenders over here too. Behind this, we have the DPF unit. Now this is a single unit as per tradition for the last number of years. It's very compact, works very well, and it makes sure that we've got enough room for other items here. Once again, the less room stuff like this takes up, the more room you have for the stuff that you actually want on the truck. This, we've got a nice aluminum box for the steps. Both of these steps are nice and wide. And once again, it is a step setup rather than a ladder setup. They are offset so that way you can step into the truck rather than having it to be like a ladder. With this, we have the exhaust. Of course, it's got to have a stack to it. Of course, it's got to have a 5-inch chrome tip. And we've got a handrail to make it easier for any passengers to get in and out of the truck that may need to. Something that I want to mention about this open space here that you don't see is a DEF tank. I know I already talked about it being on the driver's side, but there's a key reason for this. Being on the driver's side, most truck stops have the DEF tank on that side. I hate it when I see drivers spending time fueling their trucks, then getting up, having to try and turn around and find a way to get DEF in the truck. This, it's on the driver's side. Fill them both up. Be on your way. Don't be spending time jockeying around trying to fill the DEF tank up. Gives you some nice frame space here. Part of the utilization of frame space that we have is we've got a nice buyer's toolbox back here. That way you've got your tie-down arm there. You can also, I'm pretty sure, fill this up pretty quick with other stuff that you're going to need out on the road. Mounted on the inside of the frame rail, we have a Bendix air dryer. Once again, Bendix, very much the standard. If you ever have an issue with it, finding service for it is going to be a breeze just because there's so many places that do it for you. We've talked about a lot of the stuff that's mounted to the frame, but what is the frame? It's a 10 5/8 by 5/16 inch frame. That gives you the strength that you need to throw one of these on the back without sacrificing weight carrying capacity, because let's face it, it's all about the weight that you can carry with these. So when we come all the way to the back of the truck here, you can see this is set up for if you want to pull a trailer. We've got a pintle hitch, we've got the safety chain hookups, and this truck has a full truck kit on it, meaning you've got trailer brakes that come all the way to the back here. On top of that, we've got your 7-pin trailer connection already set up for you. You've heard me mention that you should experience the Premier difference, and one of the big Premier differences in this truck is this truck comes from the factory with a 1-year chassis warranty and a 3-year engine warranty. We take that a few steps further. This has a 2-year 100,000 mile chassis warranty and a 5-year 200,000 mile engine warranty. It's that type of peace of mind to make sure that you can stay out on the road. Speaking of staying out on the road, this cab is going to see a lot of miles when you look at see how it's built, because that is what we're going to talk about next week. I'm super excited to dig into this because this is all new. So that being said, do me a favor, make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications bell so that way you get notified when we have the next episode. Make sure you hit the like button. If you've got a comment or a question, do me a favor, put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. As always, I'll see you guys next week. Stay safe out there.